Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Gersh, and this week we are doing another tag video. And this is not exclusively a horror-based tag. This is the top 10 singular movies tag. And this was created by Geek Legion of Doom, and it's also his 10,000 subscribers giveaway contest. So this is my entry, and I was tagged by Lisa Loves. So you guys might be shocked at the lack of horror I have on this list, and that is because of the rules of this tag, and that is that none of the films can have a sequel, a remake, a reboot, or a prequel, and I found that to be very difficult, especially when it comes to horror, because all of my favorite horror movies, there have been sequels, there have been remakes and prequels and all that, so it's very difficult when it comes to horror. Also, sci-fi and action, all my favorites have been sequels and remakes and all that. So I found this to be very difficult, but I'm going to try my best. So first I'm going to do some honorable mentions. So first one's going to be my favorite romantic comedy, and that is Breakfast at Tiffany's, based on the novel by Truman Capote, starring Audrey Hepburn, George Papard. I just absolutely love this movie. What a great character, Holly Golightly, just amazing. It's just a great story about two people that are just lost in their lives, and they find comfort in each other. And next up is one of my all-time favorite comedies, and my favorite Eddie Murphy movie, and that is Coming to America. I just think this movie is absolutely hilarious. It's endlessly quotable. It's just so funny. Next up is probably me and my wife's favorite movie to watch together, and that is It's a Wonderful Life. We both love it. I know it's a Christmas movie, but, it's such a good movie. You can watch it all year, Next up is a great crime drama from Martin Scorsese, The Departed. What a stellar cast. You got Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg, Leonardo DiCaprio. Loosely based on the exploits of mafia boss Whitey Bulger. Next up is my favorite, period movie, costume drama, and that is The Other Boleyn Girl. I absolutely love this movie, I do love a good romance movie. I love a good period drama, and this is my favorite. I love the story of King Henry VIII. I find it so intriguing, so sexy. It's just a great story. And this one is a horror. It's Curse of the Werewolf from Hammer Films. Never been a sequel or a remake or a prequel to this, so yep, it counts. Gotta put Hammer in there, baby. Starring Oliver Reed, and that's the only werewolf film ever made from Hammer Films. Next up is another horror flick, and it's my favorite horror flick from this year, 2018. That's A Quiet Place, starring Emily Blunt, directed and starring John Krasinski. Amazing, amazing film. Now when it comes to horror, there are a lot of slasher films that were one-shots, but it's hard to say that there is one that's worthy of the top 10, but The Prowler just misses the top 10 singular movies. Next up is my favorite guilty pleasure movie of all time, and that is Commando. I mean, how can you not watch this and smile? It's so fun. It's gloriously over the top. It's cheesy, but it's just a great time. Alright, let's get to it, shall we? The top 10 singular movies that have never had a sequel or prequel or reboot or anything like that. The first one is going to be Stanley Kubrick, Clockwork Orange. What an amazing film. I had to put Stanley Kubrick on there, one of the greatest directors of all time. And you got a masterful performance by Malcolm McDowell. This movie is just amazing. It's a little bit sci-fi, it's a little bit horror, it's a little bit thriller, and it's very psychedelic and trippy. It's just amazing. Next up is $1 Million Baby, yes, directed by Clint Eastwood and starring Clint Eastwood in one of his best performances, along with Oscar-winning Hilary Swank and, of course, Morgan Freeman. Just an excellent film. Next up was one of Lisa Love's choices, and that is Misery, based on the novel by Stephen King, with awesome performances by Kathy Bates and James Caan as well. Just an incredible thriller, a great horror film, just stellar movie. Next up, it's one of my absolute favorite movies to watch. I watch this movie all the time, and that is A Few Good Men. Just an amazing movie with an absolutely phenomenal cast with Tom Cruise, Demi Moore, Jack Nicholson, Kevin Bacon. Just incredible performances. They're all at their best. Just a great courtroom drama. There's so many dramatic moments. So many memorable lines. It's just a powerhouse of a movie. And next up, I feel I needed to represent the Western genre. And my favorite Western of all time is Clint Eastwood making another appearance on the list, and that is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Now that might be a controversial pick because some people consider that to be part of a trilogy called the Man with No Name trilogy. But I don't really agree with that because I feel like all three movies, yeah, they were all directed by Sergio Leone and they all star Clint Eastwood. That's the only connection, because each story is completely different, doesn't have any of the same characters, it doesn't follow any of the same plot line. So I consider them to be different, but if you don't accept that, then we got Unforgiven. Another awesome movie with Clint Eastwood. It's a great Western, starring Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman, and the great Gene Hackman as one of the best screen villains. Just an amazing movie. Next up is a movie I only discovered a few years ago. I mean, I had heard about it, but I never actually sat down and watched it, and that is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. This movie is absolutely hilarious, and I can't believe I never watched it before. What amazing performances by these legendary comedians, Steve Martin and John Candy. It's just amazing. Next up is The Wrestler. Now, if you're a fan of pro wrestling like I am, you have to like this movie. I mean, it's just excellent. It's just a great behind-the-scenes look at professional wrestling, you know. It may be a little Hollywoodized, you know, but you got awesome performances by Mickey Rourke and Marissa Tomei, respectively. It's just a great movie. Next up is the one on the big screen here, and that is Monster, starring what I consider to be the greatest acting performance of all time by Charlize Theron as real-life serial killer Aileen Wuornos. Now, yes, there was a couple like made-for-TV movies about this story, but none of them are called Monster, so to me that counts. And you also had Christina Ricci there in a great performance. Just an awesome true crime drama. Next up is As Good as It Gets. Yeah, I feel like this movie just doesn't get enough love. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. You got two Oscar performances by Helen Hunt and the great Jack Nicholson. The movie is incredibly entertaining. It's incredibly funny. There's a great dramatic scenes. There's great tension. One case in point is the scene in the restaurant. Helen Hunt plays a waitress, and she's serving Melvin Udall, played by Jack Nicholson. And Jack Nicholson makes a rude comment about her son, and she just turns around and says, "Don't you ever mention my son again." and you see the look of terror on the face of Jack Nicholson. He's like, "Oh shit, I really messed up." And you see like like the terror in his face. His hands are like twitching, you know. That's great acting, man. Next up is Goodfellas, in at number 1. Now, I don't feel that this is the greatest gangster movie ever made, but it is the greatest gangster movie ever made that never had a sequel or a remake or a reboot. And what more do I need to say about this film that hasn't been said already? You got Robert De Niro, you got Joe Pesci, and Ray Liotta, all at their absolute best. Such a phenomenal gangster movie. It's just amazing. So that's it, guys. In at number 1 is Goodfellas. So that's it for the top 10 singular movies tag created by Geek Legion of Doom. And it's also my entry for his 10,000 subscribers contest. Now I'm going to tag some people because I want to see a lot of people do this. I think it's a great idea. So next I'm going to tag Bronco Juggalo Talks Movies, Dave Maggot, Movie Review Time, Queenie Todd, Late Late Horror Show, Andrew Bellina, Horror Miser Monty G, Rusting Willpower, Bushman Blue, and The Wicker Boy. So guys, answer the call and do the top 10 singular movies tag. And thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Urshan, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared.